important here? Should I know these things? Should I know why communication I require and what is the importance? See, communication is something which happens on a daily basis for all of us, right? We tend to send information, we tend to talk with people, we tend to exchange information as well as knowledge. Both the things happen. Now, for us, whenever we are handling any session, what exactly is happening there? There is a transference of knowledge. Assumption is there's a transference of knowledge from the teacher's notes to the notes of the students. Am I right? It used to happen earlier, but now it is not like that. Some of them may simply sit and stare at us, the students. Some of them might be actively listening. So, for you to be an effective communicator, it is these effective communication skills are essential for you to be effective in your teaching process or teaching process or information transmission process to anybody for that matter. So therefore, just let's break down and understand what are all the parts in communication. One is the sender, that is a person who's trying to communicate. Message is the information what the sender wants to communicate. The receiver is the person who receives the information, and once they receive the information, there will be a feedback. That means there will be a transmission of their information to us to understand what is happening. Okay, so this is what the idea is here. Now tell me, who's the sender here in our situation right now? What is the message? Who's the receiver and what is the feedback? Who's the sender?
Ma'am, you are
Sender is
Okay, the teacher is the sender. Okay, right now let me assume that I am the sender here. What is the message I want to communicate?
to educate us regarding healthcare waste management planning or
All planning for a teaching session. Okay, fine. I was not clear in my message, so therefore I understand that you were not able to figure out what exactly my message was. Fine. Who's the receiver here?
we are the receiver.
You are the receiver. What is the feedback I'm getting? The feedback is my message is not very clearly understood by you. So therefore I need to prune my or I need to correct my message here. All right. So whenever we are communicating anything to anybody, whoever is sending the message has to be clear. There should not be any ambiguity, and it should be in such a way that you know who the receiver is, and it has to be tailored to the receiver. That's when you get a feedback whether the receiver has understood it or not. Now, the media of communication is what is the mode I use. For example, it can be a print media, or it can be a WhatsApp text, or it can be an email, or it can be any other method. Okay, so that is also important for us, because if you're tech savvy and you understand how to handle this, it is easy for you to retrieve the message. Suppose you are used to social media handles, Instagram or WhatsApp or some other social media, but I send you an email, most likely the message gets missed. So I need to understand which message or which media you people are more useful or more accessible to, so that I can send you the message in that media. So hence that message is received, it is analyzed, and then I get a feedback. Now, so this is the process of communication anywhere you go. What are the barriers for such communication to happen?
Language barrier.
Huh?
Network issues.
Right now, for us, it's a network issue. The internet may be unstable. You may not be able to connect it. My voice can trail, or there could be network issues or connectivity issues on my side. Then I may not be clear in my message. My message might be ambiguous, where you do not understand what I'm trying to put across. First and the foremost thing is the receiver ready to receive this message? Okay, if on the other side, if the receiver is not ready to receive the message and they are in their own world, then there's no point. However, you communicate, the message will not go across. So, in general, the barriers of communication could be physical. In the sense, it could be outside noise. Here, it could be network issues. It could be psychological in the sense you just need the attendance, so I am there in the class, I am really not connected to the class, so that could be a psychological issue or emotional issue. I have something else pending which is something very urgent, I need to attend it, but then I have a session, so I put myself on the session, but I am really not in the session. That is one aspect that happens. The teacher is ineffective. That means if you do not have an expert or a person who is who is not an expert and who doesn't communicate well, then or whom you perceive is not an expert, can sometimes lead to, okay, she's so boring, I'm not going to listen to her. That is one of the barriers that we have. So all these barriers we need to overcome for us to have a good communication with our students, even with waste handlers also. The same thing can apply to any of the waste handling, any of the training sessions that you take. Now, you are all here in this course for what reasons, can I ask? What made you join this course of certificate course of healthcare waste management? Any reason?
To improve all the knowledge regarding healthcare waste management.
Okay, what was the motivation for you to do this? Just the knowledge improvement?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? What happens if there is a knowledge improvement in you? What is it going to bring about?
To know
We
new
implement
policies
in our
and trends.
hospital.
Okay, want to know new policies, and that is the improvement in knowledge so that you can implement it there. What happens if you implement it in your hospital?
We can reduce the toxicity or any sickness that can be caused because of improper waste management.
Okay, so that is one of the reasons where you are looking at larger. Uh, so it is like social welfare. That means to serve the environment to see that it doesn't come down. The reason is the motivation for you to join is one thing. It could be to make some new friends. Say, for example, you have joined this course where you have a community of people who are interested in environment and who are interested in trying to make their hospitals environment friendly and see that the waste is adequately managed. So there is a group of people, all of you are in that same boat. And there's some external expectation in the sense NABH mandates or NABL mandates that all of you are trained in biomedical waste management. Maybe that is the reason why you're doing it. Or your own personal advancement. Say, for example, somebody would have said, if I've added another training uh, to my CV, then I might be promoted to a higher level, or sometimes just to escape, or it could be a simulation also. These could be one of the reasons for us to join any course. Now, for us to learn anything, as children we learned it little differently. How did we learn as children? As children in school, how did we learn? What were your experiences of learning in school?
By looking at elders or
Mm-hmm.
seniors.
In school, it would be just like, the teacher says this is important, so I am reading it. Or sometimes the senior would say, this is important, so please read it. Right? What was your motivation here? Your motivation there as a student, as a child, is to pass the examination. Knowledge was secondary over there, but invariably we would have got it. So, but as an adult, is there a difference? Our motivations are different. As I told you, so one could be our own curiosity. Two, it could be like, I want to learn how this is going. I want to learn how the waste management happens. What will happen if I don't do it? I want to read more about it. That's a self internal motivation that we have, right? Or it could be a mandate, as just what I was speaking right now. So these could be the reasons why, as an adult, we learn. But as a child, the motivation comes from external. But as an adult, it could be innate motivation or something which is externally brought by or mandated. So, one thing is the motivation for us to learn, that is important for us to learn anything. The next thing is reinforcement. Now, do you think if you read it once, you're going to understand and you're going to implement all these things? Is it possible for us? I mean, there are people who can do it by reading it once, they can do it. I'm asking in general. The majority of them might require reinforcement. For example, let's take you itself. You're all trainers in your own hospital. You train regularly the waste handlers. So, what is this course basically doing? It is basically reinforcing. That means it is telling that whatever you know is good enough, and whatever you know right now, it is adding extra knowledge to it. You are unlearning certain things which are wrong and relearning things which are right. Okay, so that is your reinforcement. And one more thing, the idea is retention. The more the times you read or more the times you do, you tend to retain it. It becomes your second nature, right? And the next thing is transference, in the sense you transfer the skills whatever you have learned or the knowledge you learned to others. That is another way of remembering it, learning. These are the elements of learning. As an adult, there is a difference. By as an adult, your learning will be slightly different from what you learned as a child. You are a motivated person and you are self-directed. In the sense, I don't need to tell you everything about it, because you are so motivated that you would try and find out things on your own. The sources are many right now. Knowledge, there is no dearth of knowledge that is available for us, because once you go on the net, you get everything that is available over there. Whatever knowledge is available on the net, you can access it. Earlier there was a problem in terms of access of knowledge. Before the internet era came, you had to go to a library, open the books, read it, and then understand. Here, information is at your fingertips as of now. But many a times we tend to learn things which we want to know, whether because we are interested in it. We are self directed. Nobody asks us to learn. But then, for example, if somebody is interested in learning music, irrespective of their age, they can still learn music, right? Because you have enough and more apps and facilities that are available right now who can teach you all this. So, and they also bring in their life experience and knowledge. As adult, they are goal oriented. Now, as children, your goals are set by somebody else, but as adults, you set your own goal in terms of telling, okay, I want to learn this, I want to know how this happens. And at the same time, because you are an adult having gone through some amount of experience, these experience also adds up to your knowledge. And you want something which is relevant to you. You would not sit and listen to something which is irrelevant, which is something very theoretical and which has got no relevance to you as what you're doing right now. Then you would definitely not be in a position. You feel it so boring and you won't listen to it. And adult learners are practical. They want to see whatever I learn, how will I implement it in my own setup or implement it anywhere else, and they would like to be respected. This is one thing which we need to learn. The same thing applies to a waste handler also. Sometimes they may not be motivated, but sometimes you can get them motivated and get them. They do have an experience because they are doing their job. They know some knowledge about all these things because it would have been an experience for them. Whatever training you give them for handling waste has relevance because that is what is their job and that's what they are doing. But nevertheless, you need to respect them. Suppose there are times when the waste handlers comes out with very good ideas which we would not have thought about it, right? So we should respect if there are any new ideas that comes out from them. So what motivates an adult to learn? I think we have discussed this. And how do we go about teaching? What are the different methods of teaching that we know of? Okay, this is instructor centered in the sense here the teacher is considered as an expert, and whatever the teacher says is final, and they decide what the student needs to learn. Content centered in the sense the content is fixed. The teacher has to go by whatever the content is there and then teach that particular a topic or whatever it is. Learner centered is the sense the onus shifts from the teacher to the learner, that is the student. The student is encouraged to think, encouraged to form collaborations, evaluate, analyze whatever is the content that is given there. That is the syllabus that is there. The way a learner centered teaching would be slightly different. They may get projects to do. In the process of doing the project, they understand a lot more things. Now, when you look at participatory learning, it's a joint activity between both the teacher and the learner. Both of them put their efforts together, and then there's an activity that is performed. They understand the underlying aspects there. Active learning is there in both learner centered and participatory learning. When I say active learning, the student is involved in the learning aspect in the sense they are not passively sitting simply and then listening and then leaving it alone. Rather, the student is active. They get to ask questions, they get to analyze things, they get to solve problems. All these things are there when it comes to learner centered collaboration. And what are the different methods that we do it? Have you ever sat through a lecture? I think right now you are. Yes. How do you rate lectures as a teaching learning method? Somebody please. How do you rate lecture as a teaching learning method? Do you think it's an appropriate way of teaching learning? Or there are better methods of teaching and learning? Come on, I need some participation here.
Ma'am, I would rate 3 out of 5 our lecture because it's a complete one side thing and it's completely theory, right? So maybe after some time the students may get deviated or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The enthusiasm which at the beginning of the lecture will be might not be at the end of the lecture. And we cannot completely say that student is completely into concentrating on our topic because they might be sitting here but their thoughts might be somewhere else.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your views. So, in lecture, this is what happens. You are not giving importance to what the learner wants to learn. You are going it on your way. And trust me, the span of attention for an adult maximum is 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, whatever you tell, nothing goes into the head. Right? The deviation can happen. Now, nowadays, if you look at the student, it would be less than 20 minutes. I need to I need to intersperse with some activity, or I need to intersperse with some question, or something or the other make it interactive. So those are the disadvantages of a lecture. But are there any advantages to a lecture? Are there any advantages?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
Because lecture is about only one topic, we get a deep knowledge about it. We can
Ah.
learn too much about one single particular aspect or element, whatever we are talking about. We will be
Mm-hmm.
getting much of knowledge regarding to that one particular thing.
Exactly. So instead of reading for 4 hours and trying and understanding on your own, 1 hour of lecture can help you understand it better. Right? You get the information, whatever that is necessary. You get the information where you need to understand the concept and where you need to source the information from. So, lecture has its advantages and it also has its disadvantages. We can make a lecture better. Okay. Do you think you should look at lecture as a mode of teaching learning for a waste handler?
I would personally suggest no, ma'am.
No. Good. Because even I would also suggest no lecture because it doesn't help them. They are more practical oriented. They know the practical difficulties. Talking about theory to them doesn't make any relevance to it. What is tutoring? Tutoring is nothing but individualized. Can I use tutoring for to train a waste handler?
It is again tiresome, ma'am, because there will be so many housekeeping staffs, and we cannot individualizely train each person. It is a time-consuming thing.
Very good. You brought out a very good point. But then I would say, can you tutor a waste handler on the job when they're doing something wrong? Can you correct them?
Yes, ma'am.
You can correct them on the job, but I may not call it as tutoring. Can I use discussion? Yes, to some extent.
Yes,
If I have,
sometimes.
huh? To some extent, I can still use discussion because I can discuss certain problems what they face and try and see what solutions that can be given to a waste handler. Can I use demonstration?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that is very important for us to use demonstration because you're actually showing them how to segregate. You're actually showing them how to do disinfection. You're showing them how to handle spills, right? You're showing them how to enter, where to enter, what to enter if you're maintaining records. So that is one way of showing to a waste handler how these things can be done. So I would rate a demonstration to be a better method for us to do a training for the waste handlers rather than using any of the above, either lecture or tutoring or discussions. Can I have something called as experiential learning? Experiential learning is something that it's an active learning where the student undergoes certain experiences and from these experiences they learn. Can I use this experiential learning? This is an experiential learning for you. Suppose you're doing a project. I don't know how many of you have chosen a project as a mode of for your electives. So that will be an experiential learning for you where you're undergoing an experience and you learn a lot of other things that is there that is necessary for you to learn, right? Okay. Now, previously one of your colleagues or classmates share how they prepare for training. First and the foremost thing, I need to know what sort of the characteristic features of my trainees. In the sense, are they doctors? Are they students? Are they nursing students? Or are they MBBS students? Or are they waste handlers? Or staff nurses? Or trainee nurses? So my modality of training and my syllabus or my objective of the training will differ based on these things. Suppose there is a group of administrators whom I need to train for um, biomedical waste management. I wouldn't stress too much on the segregation, disinfection part of it. I can demonstrate and tell this is how it needs to be done. But I would rather stress more on what administrative aspects they need to look at, who should be the members of the infection control committee, who should be the members of the hospital waste management committee, uh, uh, sourcing of the materials that is required for segregation. These could be some of the things as an administrator. How do I comply with the rules and regulations? Where are the loopholes? Where all you need to get the authorization for? So these are some of the things I would look at if I am training a group of administrators in biomedical waste management. So my training would differ based on the characteristics of the trainees, and it also depends on the trainer's profile. So many a times those who are experts or those who know the subject well are always respected, and once that respect is there, people would definitely listen. Now your syllabus is the content what you're going to put the things across. When you look at the content, it differs. As I said, based on the profile and characteristic of trainers, my syllabus would also differ. So my concentration would differ. The methodology of training and teaching aids are totally different based on whom you're training. If it is waste handlers, I would use a flip chart. I would use an LCD projector so that I can. These are AV aids, that's all. It doesn't mean that they'll only teach everything. You need to use this, and there should be a teacher demonstrating or telling to them, right? Then another thing is your training schedule. Now, for an administrator or a waste handler, even if you look at the waste handler, can I pull out a waste handler from their work half a day and ask them to attend for the training? Half a day if they don't clean, what will happen? The whole waste management might go for a. These are some of the, they say it is as essential services and you really cannot pull them out completely. All of them you cannot take it. So you train them by batches, or you can train them only for a 2 to 3 hours rather than having 4 hours or 5 hours of training. Right? Your training schedule is also important for us. So how do I conduct any training session? First thing is I start this session to introduce and evoke a interest in the topic. As a trainer, I need to have a eye contact and establish rapport with participants. Need to relate it with the previous topics and provide the learners with as real life experiences as possible. At the end, I need to summarize it. Main points of learning I need to tell. That means to say, whenever I start anything, the student on the other end should know what they are supposed to know at the end of this session. So I need to tell them their my objectives of training, taking up this session, and I also need to tell. So I need to summarize at the end so that the student will not forget the main points that they need to take home points. So if I don't, we call this a set induction. If I don't evoke that interest in the topic of discussion, then people will not listen. The first few minutes itself, if it is not interesting, they just simply shut off and they won't listen. Now, maintaining as interactive sessions as possible is important for us because it maintains the learner's interest, it avoids monotony, and the learners get involved in their learning and the point of view of the learners also. And at the same time, if there are any misconceptions, you can correct, doubts can be cleared. Disadvantages, it takes a long duration sometimes, and sometimes people can go in a tangential way. The main topic of discussion would be forgotten and the objective would get sidelined. So these are some of the things we need to keep in mind. Okay, when we look at demonstration as an activity. So the first thing here also, the advantage is people can perceive it quickly, easily, and then try and understand it. But the disadvantage here for me is it's going to take time, and I need to have all the uh, mm, things that are there to be ready. The equipment should be ready for me. Say, for example, if you want, somebody was telling we get them to segregate things. So that means to say you have to make sure that the classroom has the four different color coded bins, and you also need to gather the different kinds of waste, biomedical waste that is required for them to segregate. So all these should be thought prior, and then you need to arrange it. So these are some of the things which we need to think through if at all you want to have a demonstration. Sometimes what will happen is you would have uh, prepared everything, and when you really try and demonstrate it in the classroom, there could be a failure of power, or things may not work out the way it needs to work out. So that means it becomes ineffective. So whenever you're using demonstration, ensure that you rehearse it prior and see that there are no loopholes, or there are no problems anywhere in the equipment, and then use it. Okay. So one advantage, it is understood by all, and they also encourage, you can encourage questions. So the disadvantage is it helps in observation of a skill, it reinforces the correct method of preparation. It is time consuming, and for a large gathering it may not be applicable. So whenever we are looking at training the waste handlers, the first and the foremost thing is to use the local vernacular language. For example, if I speak in Hindi or the language of your choice, then the receptivity is a lot more different than when I speak in English. I need to have lot of less of didactic and lot of interaction and demonstration, especially when you are training the waste handlers. More the AV aids used, the better it is. For example, like a video film or a flip chart or posters. Now, whenever you're demonstrating the preparation of disinfective agent or preparation of disinfection of certain materials, then demonstration is better. Especially when you talk about use of personal protective equipment, it is better to have a demonstration rather than even a video. You can show it, but still hands-on demonstration would make a difference when it comes to use of PPE, donning and doffing. So whenever we are conducting any session for waste handlers, we need to apply the principles of adult learning. Now, it is better if the duration of the training for waste handlers be restricted to a half a day session. What they need to be trained specifically on the waste handlers are issues of segregation, disinfection, transportation, and use of personal protective equipment. Okay? So training and retraining is necessary. Many a times we say how many ever times we train these people, the same mistakes they do it. It does happen. So training and reinforcement is necessary for us to see that it becomes a second nature to them. And one more problem we all have with waste handlers is there is a turnover that happens. That means those whom you have trained and you are thinking they are going to stay in your hospital, the next 6 months they will leave the hospital and go. So you will have a next set of fresh people who will come in who do not know ABCD of waste handling. So again, you will have to start from scratch. So training and retraining is something which we need to. That is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is as and when you give reinforcement, things would get uh, more ingrained into your brain. So therefore, those even though those who are trained, many times is better to have some more amount of refresher training so that they don't forget certain things. Complacency sets in very easily. That means you take it for granted. It's okay, nothing will happen. So to avoid such kind of a thing, it's better to have a retraining to many of the waste handlers, even though they are trained. Okay. Now, whenever you conduct a training, there are a few things that you need to do. One thing, reporting is important. Why? Because everybody should know what you have done also. So, just as somebody said it, you can start with a pre-test and a post-test. Now, I have one doubt when it comes to a waste handler. Can I do a pre-test and a post-test before training? What is the knowledge, and after training, what is the knowledge? Is it possible for me to do that
Yes, ma'am. Actually, what we do here is we'll just ask them orally, where do you put
orally?
this one?
Okay,
Where do you
okay,
put in the regional? Like normally, we just have like a conversation. It's not like a test for them.
conversation.
It's like a
Okay,
test, and we'll just ask them, where do you put this one?
okay, okay. So informally, you do it. Okay, but
Yes, ma'am.
yes. Is it possible for us to do it formally? Can I use a paper and a pen?
For supervisors, housekeeping supervisors, we do it with paper and pen.
Paper and pen. But with waste handlers, it may not be practically feasible for us to do it. Fair enough. But then you still need to report. Report is the report in the sense. The reason why I'm stressing it on report is because at the annual report which you need to submit, you need to give them the number of trainings that you have conducted and what were discussed, what was the syllabus, who took the training, whom you trained, and how many people were trained. I think this information needs to be put up onto the report that we submitted to the State Pollution Control Board. So it is important that as and when the training is over, that you form a report or you write a report where the activity was conducted, who conducted it, to whom it was conducted, how many people were there, and what was the thing that was basically trained, syllabus of it, and how you went about training, what were the methodology. It should also include your venue, date, timing of the training team, the profile of the trainers, inauguration details if anything is there, what sessions were there, what was the discussion that happened in each of the sessions. So these are something which are in detail. You may or you may not write all these things, but writing would definitely help you to better the next time training whatever you do, take home messages and evaluation. So this is in brief, or what are the things that you take it in terms of and the best thing is always have a summary at the end of the session that you need to look for. Summarize whatever you have taught to them. So that's why the take home points are very clear. Now, would you like to ask any questions? Because I think I'm almost at the end of it. This is a very small topic. What are the things that we need to keep in mind when we are training the waste handlers? It's always better to train them in their own language. Don't use a foreign language where they cannot understand. Because when you use a foreign language, they will not pay attention to it, right? Use all the principles of adult learning, that is respect, they have an experience with themselves, and give them that opportunity to express if they have any doubts. Try to solve what practical problems they pose. For example, actually they come out with more solutions or better solutions, and also encourage discussions among themselves. For example, what is a problem for one person, another person in a different place would have already had that problem and would have come out with some solutions. So they can share the solutions among themselves. So this is one more thing that we have an advantage whenever we try and uh, encourage discussions among themselves. See that it is mostly activity oriented, involve them actively by making them do demonstrations or making them do certain activities so that they understand. And you it is better to keep it as short, keep it adequately short, not too long, not too short. Not too long because attention span will be less. Not too short because the content what you need to convey needs to be conveyed. So these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind whenever you're doing a training. to the waste handlers. And to continue reinforcement, it is better to have segregation posters being stuck at every place of point of generation where segregation takes place. And there should not be a mismatch in what you teach them and what is being displayed on the poster. They should be same. Sometimes you will teach them something out of your knowledge, but the poster says something else, so there will be a mismatch and they'll get into confusion mode as to which one to follow, right? So therefore see that your posters or the display material, whatever you have taught them, is same as what you have taught them. So you please keep a watch of these things, especially with waste handlers. The most important topics that you need to stress for them is, one is segregation. Actually they are not very much involved, but they should know the segregation, because when they are handling the waste, to see that they take adequate precautions based on the kind of waste that they are handling. Importance of personal protective equipment. Many a times we have seen that personal protective equipment is provided to waste handlers, but they don't use it for simple reason: it is uncomfortable to me, I will not use it. Or sometimes the management themselves would not have provided the personal protective equipment. So you need to make sure that they know how to use it, ensure that the management provides them the personal protective equipment. Importance of using this equipment is something which we need to stress upon. Now, we also need to stress upon to tell them how adequately we need to manage this waste, and where are the mistakes where they generally do it when they mix up with segregation, and what impact this will have on the environment and on the human health. If we do not emphasize on this, they tend to make the same mistakes, and many mistakes will go unattended or unseen by many of us. So, therefore, these are some of the things that we need to emphasize. And preferably, our mode of teaching should be demonstration or experiential learning. There's no harm in taking all these waste handlers to a common treatment facility, showing them what happens to your waste after it is sent out of the hospital, how it is being managed, what happens to the ones waste that is there in the yellow bin, what happens to the waste that is there in the red one, and the needle, uh, white translucent needle one, and the blue one, what happens to this waste. So if they get to have a clear picture, then next time when they're working in a hospital, they will ensure that segregation takes place appropriately. And many a times it all depends on the management. The waste handlers might be doing their job very well, but it would be the doctors and the nurses who are not segregating it properly, as a result of which the waste handler is at the receiving end of either a needle stick injury or any other injury. Now, are we justified in causing such kind of an injury to this person? We are not. So therefore the waste handlers should also know their rights. If there is a needle prick injury, or if there is an injury, where should they go? What is it that they are entitled for? Is there a vaccination that is being provided? The importance of vaccination is very needs to be emphasized to these people. Sometimes these people have some preconceived notions about certain things, which may be rational and which may be irrational. So we need to be specific in talking about these issues to them. What are their rights? What are their duties? What is it they can ask the management for? Right? Any other clarification anybody wants to ask me? And ensure that whatever things that is required for training, you keep it ready the earlier day or the few days before, or however it is convenient to you, because going and getting the things on that day, on that particular moment, will be slightly not very conducive. It just shows your poor planning practices. Yes, anything else you'd like to ask me? Anybody? Any questions? And one more thing, first know your topic first. Anybody who's training should be well versed with what needs to be taught. Anything else you want me to add on or any clarification you have? Yes? Nobody wants to ask any questions today? Sure?
No, ma'am, class was very understanding.
Oh, okay. No need to answer any questions today. That's it. All right. Can we call it a day? I think this is the last chapter in your BHM102. It's a mandatory chapter and it's the last block 4. There are just two things in this block 4. One is about learning. That's what I spoke about, adult learning principles and the motivation and all those things. And the second part is how do you handle a session for these waste handlers. Planning. Anything else you'd like to ask me, or if not, then I'll call it a day. No? Can I close the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.